Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. Eternal Peace's imperial preceptor and his wife had arrived at Little Jade Capital high in the firmament some dozen days ago. This city aloft truly resembled an otherworldly haven, its vistas the sort seldom found in the dusty mortal realm. Has the imperial preceptor grown used to life here? A white-robed elder came forward, smiling as he asked. The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor answered with solemn composure, Little Jade Capital is worthy of its name. The scenery is wondrous beyond words, so much so that I reveled in it and even forgot the way home. Yet however fine this place is, it stands far from the human world. My ambition does not rest here, and I must still depart. I ask Hermit Ching Yu to forgive my haste. That aged Hermit Ching Yu only smiled. Imperial preceptor need not hurry. This hermit invited you as a guest, yet I have not even spoken of Little Jade Capital's origins. The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor's eyes brightened with curiosity. Then I would like to hear them in detail. Hermit Ching, you went ahead, guiding the imperial preceptor and his wife onto a rainbow bridge. The span was carved from 7-colored jade and arched across the heavens, so that to stand upon it was as though one stood on a rainbow itself. When they reached the bridge's center, the view differed from what they had seen below. From here, they could make out that Little Jade Capital's mountains were arranged into a natural formation suspended in the sky, and upon those peaks sat palace after palace, the dwellings of immortals. Little Jade Capital City's beginnings are older than the imperial preceptor would imagine, Hermit Ching Yu said with a smile. Its history can be traced all the way back to the founding emperor period. Founding emperor? The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor had indeed never heard of a founding emperor, and he asked in surprise, which nation possessed a founding emperor period? The Eternal Peace Empire never had an emperor called founding emperor. The founding emperor was not of eternal peace, Hermit Ching Yu replied. He belonged to a land known as the Founding Emperor Empire. Imperial preceptor should know, Founding Emperor Empire is what the present Great Ruins once were. The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor's body quivered faintly, and he released an unsteady breath. Great Ruins. Hermit Ching Yu led them past the bridge toward a mountain of immortals that drifted in the sky. Daoism names that age the Founding Emperor era. Buddhism calls it the emptiness era. Formation, existence, destruction, and emptiness. Emptiness is the fourth. Now that eternal peace rises, we of Little Jade Capital call the present the Eternal Peace era. In the Founding Emperor era, the Great Ruins were flourishing. The Great Calamity that erased that prosperity, we call the Founding Emperor Calamity. And before the Founding Emperor Calamity, there were also 3 calamities. The imperial preceptor's wife's gaze flickered. Elder says this age is called the Eternal Peace era. Then if Eternal Peace Empire is wiped out, will you name it the Eternal Peace Calamity? Madam is wise, Hermit Ching Yu said with a smile, pointing into the distance. There floated a jade mountain, and several Taoists were building a palace upon it. That palace over there is meant to store the history of the Eternal Peace era. When Eternal Peace Empire is wiped out, we can then study the comings and goings of the Eternal Peace Calamity, leaving them as references for future generations. Unable to restrain herself, the imperial preceptor's wife asked, Elder, what sort of place is Little Jade Capital? Is it righteous or sinister? What designs do you hold toward us, husband and wife? We have stayed here for several days. Elder has let us roam and tour as we pleased. Shouldn't it be time you speak of Little Jade Capital's true intent? We of Little Jade Capital hold no designs, Hermit Ching Yu answered, still smiling. We only wish to observe the imperial preceptor, observe the reform, and record what we deem useful for our descendants. We call ourselves immortals, not gods, because we do not wish to meddle with the workings of the world. The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor asked, Immortals and gods, how do they differ? Immortals are human, gods are not. The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor considered this, then said, So you mean humans cannot become gods, only immortals? Hermit Ching Yu smiled. Imperial preceptor, having cultivated to the divine bridge realm, what do you see when you stand upon the divine bridge? The Eternal Peace imperial preceptor did not answer. The divine bridge realm was the 7th realm after breaking through the wall of the divine bridge, divine treasure, also the highest realm. The divine bridge, divine treasure, is a bridge that leads to the God realm, Hermit Ching Yu said. Yet within everyone it is broken, and thus none can reach the other shore. Even the imperial preceptor is no exception. Am I right? Hermit Ching Yu continued. The immortals of Little Jade Capital are the same. We have seen countless divine treasures, and every divine bridge was broken. Unable to reach the far shore means we cannot become gods. In truth, by cultivation we might stand shoulder to shoulder with gods, yet the realm is severed. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor nodded. I discovered this many years ago, and once felt deep distress over it. I searched through countless ancient books, yet found no solution. Does Little Jade Capital have records of a broken bridge being reconnected? We do, Hermit Ching Yu replied, leading them up into a palace on the Jade Mountain. But even Little Jade Capital cannot accomplish it. Since we could not become gods, we chose instead to become immortals. That is why we old and useless have remained in Little Jade Capital. Though we call ourselves immortals, when our allotted lifespans end, our souls still return to the Yellow Springs. We cannot flee death. We merely seek peace. Imperial Preceptor, madam, this way. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor and his wife followed him into the palace. It was indeed a residence, and though it carried the faint air of an immortal abode, it was chilling and desolate, with not a single figure to be seen. Little Jade Capital was in truth a place cold and cheerless like this. Hermit Ching. You led them through a long corridor to a circular door, taking them deeper into the palace's depths. In the founding emperor period, there truly were a group of people who connected their broken bridges. They established a resplendent divine dynasty. Yet by now it has become dust and no longer exists. The site of that divine dynasty is the great ruins of today. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor grew faintly excited. There were people who reconnected the bridge? Then did they become gods? Hermit Ching Yu nodded, the corners of his lips lifting slightly. They did. However, very few remain now, and they are known as the people abandoned by gods. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor froze. Those abandoned people in the great ruins? No. Hermit Ching Yu shook his head. Among the abandoned people of the great ruins, almost none possess a complete divine bridge, divine treasure. The immortals of Little Jade Capital went to verify this before. Hermit Ching Yu pushed open a door and ushered them inside. The Eternal Peace Empire once received a prophecy, did it not? You were told to restrict the abandoned people of the great ruins from walking out. In truth, what the oracle wished you to guard against were not the abandoned people of the great ruins, but the abandoned people from Carefree Village who are staying within the great ruins. Their divine bridges are complete, and it is they whom the gods guard against. Before them stood rows upon rows of shelves, packed with thick, ancient tomes, records written by Little Jade Capital's immortals, containing the history of the founding emperor era. Imperial Preceptor need only read these ancient books through once, Hermit Ching Yu said, bowing as he prepared to withdraw from the library. Then you will know what occurred in the founding emperor era and the founding emperor calamity. If the Imperial Preceptor insists on continuing along the road you have set, I fear the founding emperor era's history will become the Eternal Peace Empire's history as well. What the founding emperor era faced, the Eternal Peace era will face also. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor returned the bow and asked, Wanderer Zhen of your Little Jade Capital died by my hands, so why does Dao Brother still permit me to come here? Our Little Jade Capital does not interfere in worldly affairs. We only record them. Hermit Ching Yu answered as he walked out. Once Wanderer Zhen left the mountain, he was no longer an immortal of Little Jade Capital. His life and death no longer concerned us. Hermit Ching Yu added while departing, While you husband and wife are here, you are immortals of our Little Jade Capital. But once you leave, you are no longer related to us. A saint appears every 500 years. We of Little Jade Capital are interested in observing the saint of this dynasty to see whether he can accomplish what the saints of the past could not. Strange rules. The Imperial Preceptor's wife's eyes shifted, landing upon the ancient scrolls. Husband, there are problems with Little Jade Capital's origins. I think they are descendants of the founding Emperor Empire. That is possible. The Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor sat down and took up a book. They bear no ill intent, so there's no need to guess at their goals. I wish to read the history of the founding emperor, for the present is a reflection of the past. In the great ruins, a certain devil was speaking. I only wanted to find a lowly world for my people to settle in, to find them a place to live and multiply. I do not wish to wage war upon your world. Duchian Devil King stared blankly as he muttered, Our Duchian is at death's door. If we fight you, we truly will go extinct. I must take responsibility for my race. Let me return. I must find another lowly world. Let me return. Hulinger looked at Chinmu and asked softly, Young master, should we let him return? He looks rather pitiful. How would I know whether he truly intends to return or whether it's all lies? Chinmu shook his head. He is only a consciousness. His true body remains in Dutian. With that true body, he can continue searching for another world anyway, so there's no need for this consciousness to return to Dutian. If he doesn't return and instead hides somewhere to summon his true body, won't the guilt fall on me? You cannot believe a single word this fellow says. Believe him and you lose on the spot. Border Dragon City is right ahead, only 1,000 miles from disabled elderly village. Border Dragon City was already within sight, and Chinmu finally felt at ease. He had finally reached his own territory. Young Master! Young Master has returned? Young Master, how is Eternal Peace Empire compared to our great ruins? Chinmu led the Dragon Chillin into Border Dragon City, and along the road many shop owners waved at him. He smiled and returned their greetings. Eternal Peace Empire is far more chaotic than our great ruins. Rebellions break out daily, and wars are fought without end. It's no good place. That's right. Many immigrants fled into the great ruins, all saying they were escaping war and calamity. It's good young master is back. Home is safest, after all. Chinmu arrived at the City Lord's manor and asked, Has the City Lord returned? City Lord came back a few days ago, then left again. Does young master wish to stay? This little one will prepare a banquet to welcome you. There's no need, Chinmu said. New Year is coming. I must return to the village first. Border Dragon City had long since become property belonging to him and Granny C, for most people here were of the Heavenly Devil cult. The only difference from outside was that the cult's followers elsewhere called Chinmu the cult master's sacred teacher, while in Border Dragon City, they addressed him as Young Master. After all, the city's true owner was Granny C, and Chinmu was the child she had raised, so it was only natural that he was called Young Master. Chinmu continued his journey home. 1,000 miles was no great distance, and with the Dragon Chillin's footwork, they could reach disabled elderly village in half a day. The Dragon Chillin trod upon the river's surface and went upstream. The winter sun's light poured down with warmth, not biting and cold like an Eternal Peace Empire. Chinmu recalled how he had broken the ice tide with Shan Chinger last year. Just then, he saw Shan Chinger smoking fish together with the villagers. They rubbed salt into huge fish hung beneath the riverside tree and used damp firewood to smoke them, letting the smoky flavor seep into the flesh. The village folk had caught many enormous fish, each taller than a person, and hung them from the tree. Their flesh was bright and glossy. During New Year, the villagers seldom went out to hunt, so they could only rely on these catches to endure the winter. Chinmu halted the Dragon Chillin. The little girl with 3 braids blinked her bright, lovely eyes at him. Cowherder, you're coming home in glory? Is the outside world fun? Chinmu smiled. It's all right. I get chased everywhere I go. Didn't the monks of Little Thunderclap Monastery come to find you? Pui Pui, go and touch wood. The monks of Little Thunderclap Monastery have yet to find their way here. Shan Chinger spoke with curiosity, her eyes gleaming with a trace of mischief. What misdeeds have you committed that people pursue you so relentlessly? I suppose it's because I am too remarkable, Chinmu replied, his voice calm as he lifted his head to contemplate the matter. It must be my extraordinary talents that have caused envy, prompting people to chase me wherever I go. He waved his hand with a carefree smile, his tone light. I'll be off now, but do come and visit when you have the time. Just make sure your elders don't end up taking my life. Very well, Shan Chinger called after him with a laugh. As the sun began to dip beneath the horizon, Chinmu finally arrived at the disabled elderly village. Upon entering, His eyes were met by the sight of a dozen towering hen dragons encircling him, their eyes filled with hostility. At their forefront stood an old hen, who, upon spotting him, flapped its wings furiously and clucked incessantly to the others, as though accusing him of being a thief who stole their eggs. Chenmu stood rooted to the spot, muttering with a wry smile, "I've been away for just half a year, and now there are this many hen dragons in the village?" He squared his shoulders as though facing an insurmountable challenge. "Times have changed. I am now the sacred teacher of the heavenly saint cult. Even if you hens outnumber me, I fear not." Cluck, cluck, cluck. The hen dragons cried out, swarming forward with ferocious speed. Their feathers gleamed like razor-sharp blades, and they spewed fire like dragons. With claws capable of rending stone and metal, they attacked with unimaginable ferocity. Seeing this, Hulinger quickly spoke up. "Young master, I'll return home to check on things." And with that, she vanished, leaving behind only a faint trail of smoke. Chenmu, panting heavily, finally managed to push the swarm of hen dragons back. His face was covered in blood, and his hair was a tangled mess, littered with chicken feathers. The lead hen dragon, triumphant, turned its back and led the flock away, marching proudly as it patrolled the village. Duqian Devil King could not suppress his laughter. "Ha! You can't even defeat a flock of hens!" Chenmu pulled chicken feathers from his hair, his voice laced with sarcasm. "And yet, you were defeated by someone who can't even handle a group of hens. Granny, village chief, I'm back. Why didn't any of you come to my aid when I was getting bullied by these hens? Where is everyone?" He wandered through the village, his confusion growing with every step. The village chief and apothecary's rooms were empty, and the other villagers had not returned either. Chenmu found a series of notes left behind in their absence. The first note, written by the village chief, read that they were searching for Carefree Village, and that anyone returning should first help Apothecary feed his insects. The second note, from Butcher, expressed concern for the village chief's safety, so he and Blind were setting out to find them. The third note was from Mute, indicating that he was also going to search for them. The fourth note, written by Cripple and Old Ma, suggested that the group might have encountered danger, and they were heading out to investigate. The fifth and final note, left by Granny C, said she had gone to find the troublemakers and told Chenmu not to wander off. Chenmu sighed as he read the notes. "Granny and the others are always causing trouble." Shaking his head, he set down his bags and went outside to gather some herbs from the garden. He opened the pots in front of Apothecary's room and placed the leaves inside. The hungry insects inside immediately swarmed to the food. Chenmu then entered Apothecary's room and found some spirit pills, which he crushed and added to the pots before washing his hands and preparing to cook dinner. "These broken pots," Duqian Devil King observed, clearly stunned by the sight of the insects and the clutter around the smithy. His eyes then fell upon the massive water cauldron, and he was equally shocked. This giant cauldron, and that rake, that pot, all these treasures strewn about. "Lord Devil King, stop wandering and help me cook," Chenmu called over his shoulder. As the final rays of the sun faded into the horizon, the darkness rolled in from the west, swallowing the mountain ranges and plunging the great ruins into shadow. Chenmu, used to this sight, continued his work with no hesitation. Duqian Devil King, however, was frozen in place, his eyes wide with awe at the ominous sight. Just before the village was consumed by the encroaching darkness, a lean elder arrived, carrying a book basket on his back. As the darkness enveloped the village, it parted before him and surged eastward, leaving the area around the village untouched. "Grandpa Death!" Chenmu exclaimed with a mix of surprise and joy as he put down his bowl and rushed to greet the elder. Death, wearing tattered clothing, clearly had not fared well during his time away, but his arrival was a welcome sight. He set down his book basket and asked, "Is there food? I've been starving for days." "Food is ready," Chenmu replied with a grin as he quickly prepared another set of dishes for the elder. Death, after consuming several bowls of food, looked up and said between mouthfuls, "I've been to Eternal Peace. I tried to find Mute, but I couldn't, and I spent all my travel funds. I had to sell my paintings to survive." Chenmu blinked in confusion. "Sell your paintings?" Death's face twisted in regret as he continued. "The world today has degenerated. I couldn't sell a single one. When I was starving, Old Woman C helped me out, but she mocked me the entire time. Don't mention this to Apothecary. That guy always makes fun of me for not being as quick as he is at making money from his medicine. Duty and Devil King, having listened in silence, was in shock. This old man is a master painter, but he's been starving? Chinmu, trying to suppress his amusement, added, Grandpa Deaf, who would buy paintings when the world is in such turmoil? Next time, if you need money, just sell them to Imperial Preceptor's manor. I'm sure the Imperial Preceptor will buy them from you at a great price. Deaf, shaking his head, answered, I've killed thousands of Imperial soldiers. If I went to Imperial Preceptor's manor, he'd probably take me down. I can't defeat him. Chinmu grinned. Next time, come to me at Imperial College. I have plenty of money, and I'll buy all your paintings. Do you have any left in your basket? Deaf sighed. I've burned them all. Chinmu winced. Burned them? If the Imperial Preceptor were here, he'd probably be choking on blood right now. Deaf glanced at the slips of paper Chinmu had found. Their handwriting is terrible. I'll sleep here tonight and go find them tomorrow. As the night wore on, Deaf went to bed while Duchin Devil King remained by the village entrance, still unsure of how to handle the darkness surrounding them. The next morning, Chinmu, having prepared breakfast, sent Deaf off to search for the others, while he and the dragon Qilin stayed behind to watch over the village. Deaf, fully sated, rose early, preparing to leave. Muir, I'll go search for village chief and the rest, and you stay here with your big dog to watch over the village. Chinmu gave a thoughtful nod. I'm not a big dog. I'm an auspicious beast, half dragon, half Qilin. The dragon Qilin muttered under his breath, though Deaf did not hear him. With that, Deaf took to the sky, his brush painting a dragon as he ascended into the heavens. Duchin Devil King, however, stood still by the village entrance, still paralyzed with fear, his eyes fixed on the inky blackness that loomed beyond. And so the day began with Chinmu ready to face whatever challenges awaited him next.